Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 11th February 2024. My name is TSV Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Hardan, 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 Haribol, TSV Nectar, NECTAR, nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been trying to discuss, analyze, and understand a few pieces of knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video in this vlog is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of all that we have been trying to do in all my previous videos. Kindly subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my previous, present, and future videos. So let us continue with the topic of discussion for today's video. In the past few videos, we have been trying to understand the psyche of every average human living entity, whether a male or female, in this particular lifetime in this material world. This is applicable to every lifetime from times immemorial and which will continue for times immemorial. In other words, a society is formed, exists, and passes on in a particular lifetime or a generation in this society continuously and perpetually. This society is made up of a multitude of other living entities besides the main one being the human species. This human species contains male as well as female living entities. In other words, every human living entity who forms a part of that particular society in that particular lifetime is either male or female. Every individual human living entity is equipped with a couple of qualities, features, or instruments that monitor and regulate his or her life during that lifetime. These factors or features are mind, psyche, destiny, karma, zodiac signs, astrology, horoscope, egos, and memories of every kind. So, every human living entity, whether male or female, is equipped with several such factors that guide him or her through a lifetime. These features or factors start controlling the brain and psyche of that human living entity 9 months or at least 9 months before he or she is even born in a gross body. A gross body is one which acts as a front for a particular human living entity, whether male or female in this society. In other words, every human living entity is identified in the society thanks to his or her gross body. This gross body is essentially made of four elements of this material world. They are air, fire, water, and earth. The other subtle bodies of the same human living entity are made up of the fifth or first natural material element called ether. In other words, a particular living entity, whether a male or female, is actually a capsule made up of one individual spirit spark turned spirit soul and four layers of this material body. These four layers are known as causal body of intelligence and logic, astral body of mind, feelings and emotions, etheric body of senses being five in number, namely sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, and the fourth gross body made of those four elements, namely namely air, fire, water, and earth. This capsule continues to exist in this society from the moment it is born in a particular womb in the same society in one lady called mother to another parent called father. This living entity, which is born in that womb in a particular moment, comes into this society and begins living a life. This goes on and on and on for that particular living entity till he or she finally passes on. This living entity may have any length of time in a particular lifetime. In a particular lifetime, that a living entity, whether male or female, goes from infancy to babyhood, then to childhood, then adolescence, then teenage, then adulthood, then middle age, then old age, and finally passes on into another birth when he or she becomes too old to live in this material world. This is the average process of a life for every average human living entity, whether male or female. However, destiny, karma, and other factors play a very great role in deciding about the length of every human living entity in this material world. In other words, one particular living entity may die or pass on in a particular lifetime at any age, whether old age, middle age, adulthood, teenage, adolescence, and so on. It depends on several other factors that monitor the life of that particular living entity, whether male or female. The factors that I mentioned in my talk a few moments back are mind, psyche, destiny, karma, different types of ego, different types of memory, and intelligence, experience, maturity, education, and other such factors that control the life of the same human living entity, whether male or female, during a lifetime in this society. In my past few videos, we have been trying to discuss this complex matter and understand it better for our own benefit so that we may realize how an average life of any living entity, whether male or female, operates and why, how, when, and where. During our discussion about these factors, we realized that when a living entity passes on, he or she only drops the gross body that he or she was born in this society in a particular lifetime. The three subtle bodies plus the soul keep on existing as a capsule even when the same living entity has passed on after dropping his or her gross body. In the colloquial term, when a particular living entity drops his or her gross body, we call it death. But actually, it is not death because the same living entity continues to exist even after dropping a particular gross body into this terra firma after he or she takes his or her last breath in a particular lifetime. The remaining capsule of the individual spirit soul and the three material subtle bodies continues to exist till it as a capsule takes another birth according to the slice of karma that particular living entity chose to work out in a particular lifetime. This particular capsule of three subtle bodies and the individual spirit soul is a repository of all actions and reactions that remain unworked in a continuous chain of lifetime in the human body for every human living entity. To make it more precise, the moment a capsule comes into existence as a living entity in this material world, sooner or later it gets into a chain of infinite births and deaths. These births and deaths may be as a cell, an algae, amoeba, weed, grass, plant, creeper, tree, worm, insect, creature, reptile, amphibian, birds, beasts, or finally as a human being. Kindly remember that destiny or karma for a living entity comes into existence only when he or she takes birth in a particular human species. Among the human species, there are a minimum of 400,000 types of categories. Every human living entity has to go through as a male or a female through at least 50% of such births as a human being. This is a must before that particular living entity is qualified to get liberated from this repetitive chain of endless births and deaths. While discussing about this, we tried to discuss about several case histories which may vouch for this theory that we are trying to develop to understand the human psyche better. As mentioned before, the capsule of three subtle bodies and the individual spirit soul of every individual living entity is equipped with a process or a repository of various types of memories of unworked actions and reactions of the same living entity in various lifetimes. This repository is known as Sanchit Karma. When a particular human living entity, whether male or female, decides to take birth in a gross body, the first thing that living entity does is to select a slice of that particular Sanchit karma to be used as a foundation for his or her future birth. This slice is known as prarabdha karma. In other words, whatever starts to happen to a human a living entity, whether male or female, is not because of some exterior power, but because of the same prarabdha karma, which is nothing but a slice of his or her unworked sanchit karma carried on from his or her previous several lifetimes. That is the reason for the variety of human living entities, whether male or female, existing in this society in a particular lifetime. We will safely assume and appreciate that every human living entity is unique only because of the prarabdha karma that he or she has selected for himself or herself to be worked out in a particular lifetime. This we must understand before proceeding further. While deciding about or discussing about several case histories, we decided to take case histories of those human living entities who belong to the 20% category of dark negative forces in existence for times immemorial in this material world. In the underworld of any particular area all around this world is a part and parcel of the same dark negative forces. We are discussing about one particular living entity whose prarabdha karma designed in such a way that it could help him be a part and parcel of the underworld of a country called Mexico was such that it made that particular living entity a part of the local underworld of a province called Sinaloa in the same Mexican country in Central America under United States. This particular living entity, who was a complete capsule in himself, was known as Joaquim Chapo Guzman. Why I said complete? Because this particular living entities, this particular lifetime was designed according to his prarabdha karma. As mentioned before, that particular prarabdha karma was nothing but a slice from his own storage of unworked karma from the past several births in this particular chain of various births and deaths. That particular repository was known as Sanchit Karma. In other words, whether he accepted or not, whether he liked it or not, it was his own actions and reactions in the form of a slice of his own unworked Sanchit Karma, now called Prarabdha Karma, that decided about his fate in this particular lifetime. This is all I wish to talk about in this particular video. We shall continue our discussion about Joachim Chapo Guzman and his own lifetime in my next video. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular case history. Please give me your own expert views, thoughts, ideas, and opinions so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.